everyone, this is News Generation. My name is Ifwa Akwa Harrison. What an eventful week it has been, both locally and internationally. As you'll find out during the program, it has not been all good and there have been some sad moments. But first, President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was in town. Who is he and why did his presence in Ghana as part of a three-nation African tour generate so much controversy? The Supreme Court has started hearing the case challenging the election and announcement of John Mahama as president. What's all that about? We'll tell you all about it. This April is Child Abuse Awareness Month. We bring you two compelling stories told by victims of abuse. And what is the world talking about? We'll find out. News Generation, supported by
Omo, saving tough stains in just one step.
Cowbell Chocolate, 4-in-1 value with a great new taste.
Indomie instant noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
An important personality visited Ghana this week. It was Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. He met with President John Mahama to talk about strengthening ties between the two nations, among other issues. He also gave a lecture at the Islamic University. Iran donated some funds towards the construction of the university. But before the Iranian head of state came to Ghana, there were a lot of concerns. Critics said his visit might damage Ghana's relations with other countries, claims President Mahama was quick to dismiss. So what was all the fuss about? Let's find out more about Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and why he came to Ghana. It was a three-country West African tour. The Iranian president visited Benin, Niger, and finally Ghana. The visit was to discuss Iran's interest in the country and to sign a few agreements and negotiations that would be mutually beneficial. For example, the Iranian president pledged to support Ghana with the country's oil and gas sector.
His counterpart from Iran will sign the first agreement in the field of education.
Discussions were also on the two countries' roles in the Non-Aligned Movement, NAM, which is a group of neutral states Ghana partly founded in 1961, and Ahmadinejad is the current chairman.
The two countries have been bound together thanks to their spirit of seeking justice and independence throughout centuries and decades. We are ready to transfer all the experiences that we have gained to Ghana.
But Ahmadinejad's visit to West Africa was not without some controversy from both the local and international community. Some critics felt his visit would damage Ghana's relationship with the West because of the Iranian leaders falling out with Western countries. Ahmadinejad has been criticized in his country for some bad economic choices and disregard for human rights. Internationally, he is criticized for his hostility towards countries like Israel and the United States of America because of Iran's nuclear program. But amidst these concerns, President John Mahama has dismissed that the Iranian president's visit will damage Ghana's foreign policy direction.
I do believe that the opportunity should be created for countries to continue to discuss and cooperate along matters that have global significance. We belong to the same world, and I believe that issues that confront the whole of the world are issues that should be discussed amongst nations. And so if President Ahmadinejad decided to come on an Africa visit, and he chose Ghana as one of the destinations that he wanted to visit, we will welcome him like we have always welcomed any other president who has visited us.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of the...
Now, the Supreme Court has begun hearing the challenge against the election petition of President John Mahama in the 2012 elections. The MPP presidential candidate, Nana Akufo-Addo, and two others are requesting the Supreme Court to cancel about 4 million votes in some areas where electoral laws were allegedly violated.
Following the declaration of President John Mahama as winner of the 2012 polls, presidential candidate of the MPP, Nana Akufo-Addo, his running mate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and MPP chairman, Jacob Ichebi Lamte, went to court to challenge the announcement made by the Electoral Commission of John Mahama as president. They are requesting the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in Ghana, to cancel about 4 million of the valid votes cast during the election at 11,138 polling stations, where laws guiding the elections were allegedly broken. Different issues were raised by the petitioners, Nana Akufo-Addo and the two others, but the Supreme Court has narrowed the issues to two, based on which they would give their ruling. Before the Supreme Court deliver its ruling on the matter, the court would first establish whether or not there were legal violations, irregularities, errors and malpractice in the 2012 general elections. For instance, it will find out whether the number of votes cast in a polling station were more than the number of registered voters in that polling station or not. Lastly, the Supreme Court would establish whether the alleged violations, irregularities, errors and malpractices affected the results of the 2012 presidential election. After establishing this, the judges would deliver their judgment on whether to cancel the votes being requested by Nana Addo and the two others or not. 9 justices of the Supreme Court are sitting on the election petition.
So what's up? Ever heard of the 100 days assessment for presidents? Well, during the week, President Mahama hit the 100 days mark and many gave their assessment of how he has performed in office so far. People agreed that it has not been a smooth ride with strikes, poor utility services and a few goofs by government. But what's your take on this?
So, it's been 100 days since President Mahama took office. We are asking, how do you find the country? What's up with Mahama's 100 days?
Sisi a light off no. Too much. So light off no so. Pesa light off no. Adwin ama for ejuma.
Oh, the country is improving. Now he has done many things for other regions. Many things. He has built schools and so many things.
I don't see any great change in the economy. There has been a lot of water shortage problems, high price of commodities.
I've not seen any changes, especially with the quality education he was talking about.
It's bad. We don't have light, we don't have water for about 1 week now.
The president has done good by appointing new ministers in the country, and he's so focused about the work he's doing.
Honestly, I think we are suffering.
Why?
Because even if I'm going to school, I have to go and fetch water very far from my house before I get water to take my bath before I go to school. Even my school uniform, I have to use the box iron.
Your views on WhatsApp. And the stories kept coming and coming. Let's take a quick look at other events during the week.
Ghana's premier beverage manufacturer, Accra Brewery Limited, has put what would have been an environmentally unfriendly waste product to good use. The company has donated a quantity of nitric acid to the Greater Accra Regional Ghana Education Office for distribution to senior high schools to use in their science laboratories. Nitric acid, also known as aqua fortis, is a highly corrosive strong mineral acid. The University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, has suspended its 2-week strike. The teachers stayed away from the classroom over delays in payment of arrears owed them under the new single-spine salary structure. But the president of the association, Dr. Anthony Simmons, confirmed to Joy News they had suspended strike and would return to classroom on Tuesday. The Ministry of Education has taken delivery of the first set of computers meant for use by basic school teachers nationwide as part of basic school computerization project. Acting Minister of Education, Dr. Joe Otin Eje, received 1,250 laptop computers from the Group Head of Legal and Corporate Affairs of RLG Communications, Prosper Harrison Addo, at the ceremony in Accra. At the same ceremony, the first batch of teachers selected to undergo an ICT training program were graduated. 4 people, including 3 young girls, drowned in Kumasi on Wednesday evening during a heavy downpour. 2 of the girls, who were siblings identified as Gloria Dankwa 8 and Mame Adra 2, were swept away by flood water at Esuoyebua, a suburb of Kumasi. after the river Bonsua, which had overflowed its banks, entered their residence. Central Regional Minister Samuel Sapon has vowed to end illegal mining activities in the region. This was after an abandoned illegal mine in which some people were digging for gold came down and killed 17 people, including a second-year student at the Dunkwao Secondary Technical School. Meanwhile, family members mourning the deaths of their beloved relatives in Monday's tragic mining disaster are kicking against the ban of Galamsey operations in Ghana.
Time for a quick break now. We'll be back.
Sometimes a stained t-shirt can make you the happiest mom. Now Omo Multi-Active removes even tough stains in just one step. Best ever stain removal from Omo.
Cowbell milk is packed with essential vitamins and minerals for nourishment. Build your body and brains.
Welcome back from the break. This is News Generation and my name is Ifwakwa Harrison. Now, April is International Child Abuse Prevention Month. It is a month set aside globally to increase awareness against child abuse. Despite intense efforts at ending the incidents, a lot of children live in fear and are abused daily. Two children told us their story.
"14-year-old Faustina, not her real name, was abducted in Accra and transported to Kumasi by a neighbor at Agbogloshi in Accra. The neighbor then handed Faustina over to his friend in Kumasi, who ended up defiling her. Her mother managed to rescue her only last week and has lodged a complaint with the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, which is still investigating the issue. Faustina wants the culprits punished.
I just all punish you. They are children, those all them.
Meet another victim, 13-year-old Sewa, not her real name. Sewa fled from home when she got to know her father was going to give her hand in marriage to become a second wife to a man in Tamale.
Me brothers, me brother ko frame say me ma papa ni nua e frame me ka kire me say ai me mla nti me kodu ni fie no na de me ko ne dem no lock dan no e no yi belt me ensa no obo me ma belt ni nyina tete sa da na e say adechi ya me ntimi nsole ma ye week me hu nyina ya me ya da me enu man ko school to mu hu sa me ti fie man ko school no omo say ai me meja school e na me na me pem mema e say mema ntina
Apart from the alleged plan by her parents to marry her off at the age of 13, she recalls years of physical and verbal abuse by her mother. Accounts from these two victims suggest that various forms of abuse are endured by innocent and ignorant children across the country. Every day, people flock the Domestic Violence and Victims Support Unit reporting various forms of abuse against young people. Despite an appreciable level of progress to end child abuse, child rights activists believe much more needs to be done. For the coordinator of the Network Against Child Abuse, DSP Elvis Bawa Sadongo, institutions must be held accountable for how they handle children who have been abused.
You see, it's not enough for a child to be abused and then the child dies and everybody tends to look at the perpetrator And once the perpetrator is taken to court and is jailed, that is the end of story. Between the child, the time the child is abused and then death occurred, what did the institutions do, individually and collectively? Can we hold institutions responsible or individuals responsible for the death of these children?
DSP Sadongo also wants wide acceptance for the International Child Abuse Prevention Month in Ghana.
Now from that off, we went to Kokomlemle in Accra to visit the Autism Awareness and Training Center, where they have an art program. It is an after-school program organized to help autistic children interact with other people and improve their art skills. Still on the artistic front, do you like to write, and are you interested in the world around you? Or perhaps you want your voice to be heard by others? Well, every year, the Multi TV for Kids essay competition inspires thousands of young writers from all over the country. Organized by Multimedia Group Limited for a year now, the essay competition is a highly regarded education project which is open to those 15 or under. The competition gives young people an opportunity to make their voice heard, encouraging students to engage with issues which are important to them.
The competition explored the topic, what role should young people play in the development of Ghana? This was an opportunity for children to use the platform to express their opinions about national development. Over 1,000 entries were submitted, but only 10 made it to the finals in the third edition of the For Kids essay competition for primary and JHS pupils. The competition was in two categories, junior and senior. Aisha Sumani of Richard School won the junior category, whilst Maureen Tre of Christ the King won the seniors.
As young people, we can contribute massively to national development by studying very hard. Citizens who can read, write well and calculate have better agricultural productivity, better economic health, and better things for the country.
Young people should be disciplined. If there is discipline, there will be nothing like armed robbery and drug addicts.
Linda Annan is the channel coordinator for the For Kids channel on Multi TV.
The goal of this program is to enhance the writing, reading, creative, and analytical skills in children. And so what we do is that's why we put it out there, for them to write the essays and for us to be able to see whether, to test their writing skills as well. As you know, these days people don't write essays, and someone might say, oh, it's archaic, but we need the children to continue to read. We need them to continue to write. And through this competition, we're able to, foster that. We're able to push them to continue to read and write.
Winners took home a laptop, books from EPP, and a sponsored trip to the Mensha Palace in Kumasi in the Ashanti region.
The next For Kids essay competition will take place in June this year. Don't miss out. You can win some exciting prizes. Now, according to the World Health Organization, WHO, drowning is the third leading cause of unintentional injury and death worldwide. In Ghana, some young people have been trained as lifeguards to help rescue drowning victims, and the children seem very dedicated to this duty.
Drowning may not be rampant in Ghana, but every year, children drown in pools, at the beach, and in other water bodies. Swimming coach Felix Uzo instructs children about water safety and preventing drowning. These children have been going through intensive water safety instruction for a week. Felix says drowning is increasingly being recorded as an unintentional death around coastal areas.
June last year up till January this year, from our statistics, over 4,000 children have drowned around the beaches in Accra, not talk less of Volta region. Up over 4,000 from our statistics. The worst part of it is that most of these are underreported. But we have taken time to put our statistics together, and we are not happy with the figure we had.
Individual and community education on drowning awareness is vital. Exposing risks associated with drowning and learning water survival skills are important approach to prevent drowning.
Help, help, help. Somebody help me. Grab onto this. Oh yeah. Grab onto this. Oh, look.
Having lifeguards around water bodies is also essential. 9-year-old Ellis takes us through how to save a drowning victim.
I first ask the person if he's okay and if he can swim. If he can't swim, I'll use some of the rescue equipment to save him and bring him to shore.
What are some of the rescue equipment? Can you mention some to us?
You have the torpedo, you have the life buoy, you have a bag that we throw, and so much more.
What are its uses? Explain what it is.
The torpedo, if someone is drowning, you jump into the water with it and wear it around your neck and swim to the person who is drowning, and then tell him to hold the end of the torpedo, and you pull him to the dry part, a safe place.
Time for another break, but when we come back, let's find out what the world is talking about.
Mommy, see 5 tomatoes. Okay, if I take one, how many will be left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Oh, that's my girl. Spell nutrition. N-U-T-R-I-T-I-O-N. That's my girl.
Will you spell nutrition?
Yeah, N-U-T-R-I-T-I-O-N.
Wow, a new spelling champion.
Yeah, that's my girl.
There's no mom like you, no noodles like Indomie. That's why caring mothers trust Indomie to give their best to their family.
That's my mom.
Indomie instant noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
Welcome back to News Generation. Now, it has been a tough week for America. First, the Boston bombings on Monday, followed by a fertilizer factory explosion in Texas on Wednesday night. These two tragic events had the world buzzing this past week. The world is talking about America. Shocking news rocked America on Monday. 3 people died and more than 170 were hurt when 2 bombs exploded near the finish line of the famous Boston Marathon. Amongst the dead, 8-year-old Richard Martin, who was cheering on the runners with his family. No one could tell why or how it happened at first. But determination amidst tragedy had American authorities searching every angle for leads.
We still do not know who did this or why. And people shouldn't jump to conclusions before we have all the facts. But make no mistake, we will get to the bottom of this. And we will find out who did this. We'll find out why they did this.
Finally, some hope by Wednesday as security forces searched far and wide for leads. Video footage from a department store found a man dropping a bag at the site of the bombing. those responsible would finally be made accountable. By Thursday, the issue had escalated. Thursday evening, a university police officer had been shot by one of the suspects, starting a manhunt for 2 Chechen brothers. A few hours into Thursday night, police had caught up with the suspects. They exchanged fire, and the eldest of them, Tamerlan Chanev, was injured. He later died in hospital. Friday, the manhunt was on for his brother, and Boston was on lockdown, with Bostonians being asked to stay indoors. Friday night, the teen suspect was in custody after being found hiding in a boat in a suburban homeowner's backyard, apparently wounded. Police say they exchanged gunfire with Joka Chanev, 19, after cornering him in Watertown near Boston. At a Friday night press conference, U.S. President Barack Obama promised to seek answers on what had motivated the bombers and whether they had help. But this wasn't the only tragedy to hit America. Some 35 people, including 10 emergency service personnel, died in a massive explosion Wednesday night at a fertilizer plant in West Texas. More than 160 people were injured and over half the town was evacuated. Eyewitnesses described the blast like a tornado, and international media reports say the blast was so strong that it registered as a magnitude 2.1 earthquake. Emergency service officials said ammonia may have caused the explosion. It has been reported the company had a lot of the chemical on the factory site. In 2006, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality cited the plant for failing to obtain or to qualify for a permit. 12 bodies have since been pulled out of the wreckage. So, a sad week for America, and many across the world are talking about these events, especially the Boston bombings. So, what else happened around the world? The Queen led mourners in St. Paul's Cathedral at the funeral of Baroness Thatcher. She was Britain's longest-serving Prime Minister of modern times. More than 2,000 guests from around the world paid their last respects at one of the biggest funerals since the Queen Mother's in 2002. Venezuela's Electoral Authority has announced it will carry out a full audit of electronic votes cast in Sunday's presidential elections. The move comes as Nicolás Maduro, the man declared the winner of the election, prepares to be sworn in as president. There were serious protests by supporters of opposition leader Capriles earlier in the week after a demand to recount the votes was rejected. North Korea on Thursday set out demanding conditions for any talks with Washington and Seoul, calling for the withdrawal of UN sanctions against it and a permanent end to joint US-South Korean military exercises. President Barack Obama warned Kim Jong-un this week that the North's threats against the United States and South Korea had only served to isolate the regime further. The world's oldest person has celebrated his 116th birthday. Jiromon Kumura, who used to be a postman, was born in Western Japan in 1897. So that's it. That's the kind of week it has been here for us at News Generation. See you next week. We leave you with this inspirational quote. News Generation, supported by
Omo, saving tough stains in just one step.
Cowbell Chocomalt, 4-in-1 value with a great new taste.
Indomie instant noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.